They have been continually, gently and subtly trying to educate us as to their presence and to their reality. After the 3-year study, they concluded that the planet had been under observation, survey, analysis, continually for centuries. A massive flotilla of these objects flew over the Warsaw Pact area, over the Western Alliance, all over, divided Europe, in formation, very high, very fast. And as I say, they circled over the southern coast of England, went north, and disappeared over the Norwegian Sea. I worked in the Supreme Headquarters Operations Center, a place they called SHOCK. And when the published report came out in '64, I was privy to it in the sense that I had a cosmic top secret clearance. I was able to pull it out of the vault and read it. It shocked me and changed my life. I had become aware that this gossip and discussions among the staff about an ongoing study about UFOs, because the UFOs had almost caused World War III at least a half a dozen times. And they would fly out of the east, they'd fly over the Warsaw Pact area, they'd fly over Central Europe. They would generally fly west and turn north over the southern coast of England, and then they would disappear over the Norwegian Sea. Now these objects were metallic, circular, high altitude, obviously under intelligent control, in formation. For a long time, the Western powers, the NATO people, the Western Alliance, thought they belonged to the Soviets. We were to find later that the Soviets thought they belonged to us. After the study was published in '64, it became very clear that it didn't belong to any of us, because the repeated evidence, the examples of incredibly advanced technology, indicated that whoever they were, they weren't from here. We and the Soviets couldn't even begin to duplicate their capability. And as I said, it was very obviously under intelligent control. And they demonstrated repeatedly aspects of technology we couldn't even begin to match.
When you first became aware of this, were you intrigued more than anything? Did it have a frightening element to it, or was it more an excitement to you?
Well, let me say this, that when I was curious, I was a professional military, I wore a crew cut. I was a Korean veteran. I had led combat troops on the front lines of Korea in '51. I would end up in Vietnam. But I was a professional military. I was kind of hard-nosed, no nonsense. If I didn't read it in a field manual, it wasn't real, you see. That was the kind of person I was. In 1964, my life changed because I read this study, read it again and again and again. Couldn't put it down. Every time I was on duty in SHOCK in the Operations Center, I'd pull it out of the vault and read it. I couldn't stay away from it.
What was it telling you?
Well, after the 3-year study, they concluded that the planet had been under observation, survey, analysis, continually, for centuries, by apparently an advanced technology from somewhere else. That in itself grabbed the hell out of me. I mean, think about it. What that would mean to you. You're no
if you weren't prepared
no
for that.
nonsense kind of person.
Yeah.
I had an open mind, and I was curious, and I'd done some research. I had, listened a little bit, learned a little bit. But when I opened that study, and it was about an inch thick, it was supported by about 8 inches of annexes. I analyzed it, studied it, and it literally changed my life. The implications of it were earth-shaking.
Who produced the study again?
It was produced by NATO.
By NATO,
yeah,
okay.
By a military committee.
Okay.
That was appointed to study this.
Okay.
An incident occurred in 1961 before I got there. On February the 2nd, 1961, a massive flotilla of these objects flew over the Warsaw Pact area, over the Western Alliance, all over, divided Europe, in formation, very high, very fast. And as I say, they circled over the southern coast of England, went north, and disappeared over the Norwegian Sea. That almost triggered World War III. An air marshal by the name of Sir Thomas Pike insisted on having a study to figure out what the hell is going on. Now, I worked for a general by the name of Lyman Lemnitzer, a four-star American general who was SACEUR, the Supreme Allied Commander Europe. Air Marshal Pike was Deputy SACEUR. He was a British Air Marshal, five-star rank, who was a deputy to Lemnitzer. In 61, he determined that we've got to find out what's going on here, and he created a military committee to make this analysis, his study. They published it in 64, in June 64. They called it an assessment. Subtitle, an evaluation of a possible military threat to Allied powers in Europe. Strictly military, no nonsense, what the hell's going on, what's happening. And it was a detailed analysis by experts from all over Western Europe. They had an annex on history, they had an annex on the scientific aspects, atmospheric physics, all of it. There was an annex on the theological implications, and that one really grabbed me.
What did
Because I've been a student of history.
Yes.
And they determined that the theological implications of this reality would literally be earth-shaking. So the study was classified cosmic top secret. It was and still is, I'm told, in the files and is still classified. Because they concluded and determined that this was literally dynamite. As I say, the implications are earth-shaking. Well, that was my beginning. That's got me started, and I haven't been able to walk away from this ever since.
You've been obsessed.
I've been obsessed. Oh,
Yes.
that's the word I use.
Yes.
Yeah. It's almost like an addiction.
And justifiably so.
If you learn enough, as I did, you want to know more. And the more you learn, the more you want to know. And it just doesn't stop. It's like I'm addicted to this reality. I'm
Now-
obsessed by it.
Well, because you kept ratcheting up the intrigue factor the more you learned. And some of the things, just even sitting yesterday in one of your talks, just the bits and pieces from there, any one of them we could talk about for hours, but I don't know if it's appropriate at this time to jump into the fact, one of the things you learned is that we are dealing on Earth with 4 different ET civilizations who have always been here. Also that humans are said to be hybrid beings, hybridized from off-planet cultures.
When you really lift the lid off of this Pandora's box, you can't close it again.
Right.
And I've been at this now for over 40 years. And as I said, the theological implications are dynamite. I fully understand why the Brookings Report was published and issued to Congress and to NASA in 1961.
Give us a little brief on the Brookings
Well,
Report.
the Brookings Report is available. You can get a copy of it. A study was done by a bunch of experts back in 60-61 about the implications of contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. That was a thorough analysis, and they determined, these experts, Margaret Mead was one of them who helped study this thing, and they determined that the implications of contact with extraterrestrial intelligence would be so disturbing to the body politic, the sociological balance of society on this planet, that they recommended that when this day occurred, this contact occurred, they didn't seem to grasp at the time that it has been going on for centuries, that we cannot release this to the public. The masses of people out there cannot handle this and cannot deal with it, so thereby, being the experts, self-appointed as we are, we're not going to tell anybody about this. And that's when the lid came down. But you cannot close the lid on Pandora's box. No, you can't close it, because they have been continually, gently and subtly trying to educate us as to their presence and to their reality. And not only that, they have been trying to sociologically, psychologically, gently help us grow into a level of maturity, which we are not at the moment, so we can accept their presence and our place in the universe.